What I will talk about is just based on my experience. It is not read in a book. It is not some conference I went and copy-paste some information from here and there. But my Swadharma and my life, what I learned, is my Anubhav. I can explain on that basis. Whether it is good Anubhav, bad Anubhav is not something you can change or I can change. This is what has happened. This is my life, so I can tell you about it. I have lived in US for 48 years, most of my life, more than age of most of you. And I tell this to the Americans, this is more than the lifespan of most Americans, so I've lived there longer than they have. So I know a lot more about it than most Americans do. And yet I have never failed to come to India any year. And typically I come 4 times a year. I spend generally not more than 25–30% of my time in Delhi with family, but the rest of the time I go to other parts of India. So I'm also very widely traveled within India. And very interested in reading and other states. I spend a lot of time in the South. I think all North Indians should do that. North Indians ignore the South. We should go spend a lot of time in the South. So I'm talking from my experience, okay? And I've also, in the US, had the opportunity to run companies, have thousands of white Americans working for me, hiring, firing. So, you know, your attitude towards people is different. You're not in awe, कि अरे वाह ये तो कोई गोरा साहब है तो वहाँ I should be scared, you know. Because if you have been their boss, it's a different attitude. So I find that a lot of Indians don't have that courage and the confidence in front of Westerners because we have this idea कि वो ज़्यादा superior लोग हैं. But if you run a company and they are your employees, उसको कभी निकाला, कभी उसको लड़ाई किया, उसको demote किया, उसको promote किया, like anybody else you would do. In fact, I have more skill and experience doing this with Americans than with Indians. मेरे को Indians थोड़ा डर लगता है. I don't know what they'll say because they may get very emotional. You know, they may say, so I'm not as, I have no experience running business here in India. And I've also done this in many other countries. At one time I had 20 companies in different countries, each one in a different country. So Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, Korea, these type of places, Spain, Germany, I like that. And so I also have a very interesting perspective, my own perspective on what are the different cultures like. I learned this long time ago to study the cultures of other countries where you're doing business. And I got this idea because my experience in Britain was that these people they were able to rule the world because they're very keenly studying everybody. They were very keenly studying everybody. So in fact, I found the British people making observations about me, culture, India, very sharp, very astute observations. And I thought that this is a good idea for us to do. We should also, you know, we find that जो Indian ambassador है USA में या जो consulate वाले लोग हैं, they don't know too much about the American history. They don't know the nuance and the real subtle points. They just come, live their life and have a diplomacy and they know about policy, vagara, but they are not really deeply involved in the local life and they don't understand the country. And I found this to be with the Indian embassy people in most countries. So I'm going to just give you some comments from the perspective of having lived a certain life. My first dissertation was in artificial intelligence in early 1970s. Where it was a very rudimentary field, now it's very advanced, and we were trying to get computers to play chess, which was very difficult to do in those days. Now, of course, computer can beat everybody in chess. So, from that onwards, I have been following and been part of these different revolutions. So, the first thing I want to discuss with you is from that experience, and I keep in touch with the trends, I want to assess the challenges that will face the youth in the near future. Because if you want to give advice to youth कि ये करो, कैसे institutions बनाओ जो topic है आज का, first you have to give assessment of the situation that you will live in. Your world will be different from my world. In what way? So I'll give you a few facts. You see, 50 years ago, when I was entering college, most of the jobs today, most of the industries where people are working today did not exist. There was no big market for IT, technology, internet, telecommunication, very small time, automobile industry, very small time, these airlines. So most of the fields in which people have jobs today did not exist. So rate of change is increasing fast. What happened in the last 50 years will happen in the next 20 years. Which means that if you are 20 or 25, by the time you are 45, most jobs that exist today will not exist. This is very surprising. You think कि जो हमारा career है चलता रहेगा, but you have to learn to reinvent yourself every 20 years. Because in 20 years, most of the careers will not exist. In fact, I can tell you, artificial intelligence experts by and large agree that within 20 years to 25 years, 90% of today's work will be done by computers. This is very startling, very stunning. Things happening very fast, from driverless cars to drones that are going to do all this stuff for you. So if vast majority of jobs that people have and that you think you would like to have will not exist, what is the future of 1.3 billion people? What will we do? This is what you should think about. Rather than worrying about वो left wing है, वो right wing है, वो किस wing है, दो wing है, किसी के कोई wing नहीं है, rather than all this nonsense, you should think about the real issues that face the country and that will face you. So if there is going to be massive unemployment from this today's economy, then we are chasing कि भी हमारी इतनी GDP growth है, हम ये technology ले आएंगे, ये market करेंगे, वो product बनाएंगे, but we may be obsolete. Lot of this that we are aspiring may not be good enough. Now you might say कि I talked to one minister, senior person I interviewed in Delhi. So when I told him this कि आपका क्या plan है, जितना भी आप planning कर रहे हैं वो तो आज की technology, आज की industry है, what will happen? So he said, no, because we will get into that also. That's good to say, but artificial intelligence, 80% of the patents, 80% of the companies are owned by either USA or China. USA owns number 1, China owns not that below, but number 2, very aggressively moving up. Between the two of them, they own 80%. 20% rest of the world, India less than 5%. So what is this going on? How are you going to compete if we are lagging behind the major technologies? Then you look at nanotechnology. You look at the genetic based technologies and on. Solar energy, solar panels, China is making the majority of solar panels for the world. The Chinese mobile company will be the largest in the world in 2020, next year. Right now it is number 2. It is ahead of Apple and just behind Samsung. So वो तो जा रहे हैं, बहुत gallop कर रहे हैं आगे, right? So this is you have to take stock of the world and where will be your future. And we think there is youth dividend. जितने बच्चे पैदा करो फायदा होगा. More market. Maybe it's good for the corporate people who are selling things because they'll make more money. But more consumers, more stomachs to feed, only helps if you can keep them employed, if you have jobs for them. But 20 million people in India, young people in India, reach the age of job, wanting job. There are not 20 million new jobs created, hardly 3-4 million new jobs created. So what happens is every year there's more people demanding jobs than the supply of jobs. This is getting worse. It is not a problem of this or that government. Please listen to me. ये problem बहुत ही serious problem है. ये कहाँ से इकट्ठा हो गया है? We have not been serious about controlling the birth rate. We have just said कि youth dividend होगा, ये होगा. ये कहने की बात है. We were told that India will level off at 1 billion. Then we were told that it will level off at 1.1 billion. ऐसे करते करते. The point is that we just don't want to face this issue. Because the medical breakthroughs are going on increasing the lifespan. And every time the lifespan increases, the population size will increase, you see, because the death rate goes down. Ask the medical technology people, will the lifespan reach a maximum? And they will say no, because whatever is the lifespan, they can keep making it better. So this means that this population will level off at this number. That number is based on assuming that this is the lifespan. But that lifespan keeps changing. So these forecasts are not valid. They are just to make you happy. So this is the, I see a very dramatic existential threat of overpopulation. If you can't keep people employed, you don't have unlimited water resource, land resource. So what will happen is the world will become more fanatically competitive because the increased population with increased demand and less supply of natural resources. Natural resources will become scarce and demand for these will become more. So you will have more wars, more calamities, more clash of civilizations. Please, this is not some scare tactic. I'm just telling you facts. You have to look at what are the facts of different trends. And if you look at it, koi 7, 8, 10% GDP growth se kaam nahi banega. Because unless you solve very fundamental problems like I'm talking about, which is huge obsolescence of jobs with the new technology, growing population, you know, all of that. I'm not even telling you things like China may take the northern rivers, where the rivers come from Tibet, put dams and make water scarcity. I'm not even talking about those things. I'm just talking about basic trends that we are facing. The next generation need to be very aggressively problem solving problems, addressing problems, rather than infighting, usne ye kar diya, usko upar le laga diya, wo laga diya. And this is very disappointing. I visit China, I talk to those people. I haven't for the last few years, but I have a lot of very good friends. Korean friends, I have very good friends. I find that some of these countries, the youth are very together in aggressively moving their country forward into the future. And here we're putting a lot of time fighting, useless, trivial, inconsequential, nonsensical fighting. In fact, there was a young woman, a college one, Indian, who just come back from staying in a foreign university. So I asked, what are some of your experiences dealing with Indians there, Chinese students? And she made a very important observation. She said कि हमारे university में each student has to be also evaluated by the other students. They have some courses where you are evaluated not only by the teacher, but you are also participation and all that. Your paper, term, project are evaluated by each other. The Chinese always stick together and give each other good marks. And in discussion, debate, they'll defend each other. Indian is going out of his way to bring each other down. That's true. And I said, this is true. This is the observation of this young person. So this is how our mentality is sort of like that. जुगाड़ है, थोड़ा चलता है. Today I launched this book called चलता है India. That is, उसका वीडियो हम निकालेंगे अभी. So you know, now if you, the right comparison for your generation is not कि Pakistan. They used to say कि हम पाकिस्तान से इतना आगे हैं. In South Asia, India has the biggest growth rate, as if भी South Asia में बड़ी बात हो गई. Maldives है, Nepal है, they're nice countries, but you can't, it's a stupid comparison. You have to compare with China and everything. One of the things you should look at is that China studies and India studies, who controls? China controls the study of China. All over the world, the best journals on China are controlled by the Chinese. They are written in Mandarin. The editorial boards are Chinese, patriotic people, many of them provided by the government and their multinationals. Americans complain कि हमको China studies में second class माना जाता है. Chinese will decide which American get the visa to go and study. And if the Chinese don't like you because you are taking the wrong position, then you are outcast. Chinese are very proud of that. Indians, on the other hand, the India studies is controlled by the West. And we are looking at them as कि वो हमको सिखाएंगे हमारे बारे में. They know more about us. They do the social sciences about us. They bring the social theory. They tell us what is right or wrong about us, and we are looking up to them. वो pat on the back करेंगे, शाबाश बेटा, तो we'll feel very happy. So this is not the Chinese mentality. They're not interested in this kind of nonsense. They're very strong about themselves, and therefore they get respect. This is what you have to understand. So if you look at who controls the journals and the conferences and the PhD dissertations, you'll find that in the case of China studies, they're controlling these. You'll find that in the case of India studies, the best conferences are overseas, the best journals on India are overseas, about Indian tradition. The most sought after places to go for a PhD are overseas. It's a surprise and a shocking thing. The top Sanskrit scholars in India, I talked to, in Banaras, I talked to people in the south, and they said they'd rather get their PhD from Oxford or Harvard or Chicago than somebody here. This is very sad. I'm talking about my findings, which are different than your findings. And I can give you my surveys. I'm not saying that the American university is better than the Indian. I'm talking about what people aspire to do. I'm talking about that the Indian Sanskrit scholars, given a chance to get a fellowship or something to the US or some other place, will go there according to my surveys. Maybe your experience is different. Now if they don't get it, that's a different matter. But the people are lining up, people are, the power comes from there. So this is one of the things I'm fighting is why is it that our standard is poor? Is it that our inferiority complex is there? Is it that chauvinism ki baat hai, haan, bade great hain, but you look at the facts. We can talk big, but you have to look at what the facts are. So this business of controlling the discourse on our own civilization is very, very important. Now discourse को control करने के लिए हमको कहा था कि भी government change हो जाएगी, सब ठीक हो जाएगा, हम तो अभी भी wait कर रहे हैं. The Indian Council of Historical Research, the ICCR, the ICSSR, all these agencies and bodies, I haven't seen a whole lot of big difference in them. And I go there, you have a lot of discussions, a lot of these things with the ministry, but they are not changing. The UPSC exam is still same, talking about Western thought and so on. UPSC exam, and I know this for a fact because I talk to these people. And I examine these things. So the colonized social science and humanities has not been properly decolonized even today. The social theories that you study that are in the NCERT exams are social theories social theories studied in India are Western social theories, the sociology, and also in the UPSC exams. So but when you go to China, they have their own social theories. They're saying, okay, according to American social theories, we have this problem, but we have our own social theories. Now, USA produces this human rights report on the world about किसने क्या human rights violation करी है. And every year they scold India भी every country में ये violation है and all that. But China gives a response within 2-3 weeks after the US report. They produce their report on US human rights violations. They have a whole team doing it. They have a whole culture of studying these other people. They are not apologizing. Hamara ambassador apologize karega ki haan sir ye wo thana. Right? So this is the issue. The issue is lack of confidence. Issue is lack of competence, lack of tapasya and hard work. So the problem of colonization is not over because the British have gone. This mental and educational colonization continues today. I wrote a book called The Battle for Sanskrit. It was released, we had an event here also. I went to a lot of Sanskrit places for get involved and help me. We did conferences on Sanskrit, the topics in my book. Very difficult to get Indian Sanskrit scholars to participate in a very meaningful, deep scholarship, giving a rejoinder to the Western theories. very difficult. Either they'll say हम busy हैं, or they'll say हमको चाहिए ही नहीं, हम अपने in my heart I already know the truth. ये तो क्या बात है, तो escape की बात है ना. Some people will say नहीं कोई ऐसे लड़ना नहीं चाहिए, सब कुछ ठीक है, वसुदेवा कुटुंबकम. They'll tell you some nonsense like that. They'll tell you some silly thing like that. Some will say sir मिथ्या है. Some people will say अच्छा आपको कोई problem होगी या कोई आपको कोई चिंता होगी, क्या होगा, like that. This is the kind of thing. I gave one of these talks and Balram Singh was there and he tells me when the talk was over, some of those very elite, high-class fashion ladies, these very social kind of, this Lodi Road type Delhi people, they asked him कि आप NRI लोगों को कुछ problem हो गया? As if वो हमारा problem है. Because they want to live in this life कि कोई problem नहीं है, सब कुछ ठीक है. I found very surprising that we were giving money to get people who will write a paper on a topic on Sanskrit कि भी ये जो scholar है उसने ये 600 पेज की पुस्तक लिखी है रामायण पर या किसी चीज़ पर, इसका response देना है. We are willing to give stipends, we are willing to give scholarships, we will do this, that, सब कुछ. But the either very lousy quality work, very emotional, chauvinistic, यहाँ वहाँ, without reading, or they don't want to take the trouble. That hard work is not there. So you have to give it to the Westerners, at least they're working very hard. They're working very hard. Even though they have an agenda and they're studying us from an ulterior motive, but they're working hard. They are not lazy people. You see, you have to give them that. So we've conducted several conferences on this matter. We have a series called Swadeshi Indology, and we are publishing 10 volumes of papers from and all these conferences are peer reviewed. Only selected people come in after peer review of their paper and edited professionally. So it's not कि सुनी सुनाई you invite people you know and they'll come and say the same thing every year. ऐसी बात नहीं है. We want to encourage new original research and create a Swadeshi team, home team of our own people. But getting high quality people is not that easy. Very few people want to do that. The issues before us are not entirely government solvable. These are not a matter of कि government कुछ कर देगी. You also need a whole awareness and kind of a new mobilization of young people within the country. They have to want to do this tapasya and it's hard work. I'll make a controversial statement right now. If you look at the most successful countries in the world, they got their independence through bloodshed. The American Revolution, they did not negotiate कि हाँ please चले जाओ. They fought them, kicked them out. French Revolution, Chinese Maoist Revolution. Japanese fought, lost World War II and then they rebuilt after that, but they had a violent event. So you see, some of the major success stories in the world paid the price of one generation going through a trauma, and then they were able to reject the past of what they are. We never rejected colonialists. We are very proud कि एक झंडा ऊपर चढ़ा गया, उसी वक्त दूसरा झंडा नीचे आ गया और nothing changed. थोड़ा जनगण मन आ गया नया, little bit cosmetic clothing change हो गया, but everything stays the same. Indians taking over the colonial shoes, the same Delhi Chelmsford Club, ये वाला golf club, ये वाला फलाना, ये वाला, all those जो अंग्रेजों ने बनाया था वो लगा जब हमारा हो गया, तो we are the new brown sahibs. So we never disconnected from a certain way of life, and this is we never properly decolonized, and we are very proud कि हम कोई problem, we are not we are not rejecting anybody, सब कुछ ही ठीक है. I think there's an issue there. You have to reject. I mean, this is the Gita says, I mean, our tradition says false is false. Why did Adi Shankara go falsifying people if everything is correct? He was running around debating, falsifying the other side. You have to falsify. That is the Nyaya. That is the whole debating tradition. So this very complacent, everything goes, sab kuch hi theek hai, ye bhi wo, that is mediocre. That is a sign of being a coward. That is a sign of not being hardworking. So these are some of the intellectual issues, and you are the elite one of the top brains trust here in this country, and it is your challenge. And I don't see anything left-wing, right-wing about it. Please, I do not, I fly on both wings. I don't want to cut either wing. I was in a conference in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they brought Shabana Azmi as the chief guest. We all know. I don't know why bring some person like that chief guest for a colonization conference, decolonization conference. ऐसे ले आए. इंडिया में लगता है कि जो कोई सेलिब्रिटी है जिसने क्रिकेट को आती है तो शायद उसका दिमाग भी उसको सब कुछ उसको पता होगा, उसकी बात सुनेंगे. चाहे irrelevant to the topic, but celebrity is celebrity. So I gave a talk, after which she looked at me, she was confused. She said, "आप left wing हो कि right wing हो?" She couldn't figure it out. After a lot of talk, because she was more thinking कि left wing है तो ये है, right wing है, उसको इतना ही पता था. So I told her what is the origin of left wing and right wing. See, French people did not take a bath. वो नहाते नहीं थे. बदबू आती थी. They were stinking. British people also. And they invented cologne to hide the dirty smell. Cologne. French perfumes, cologne. So cologne was expensive. Rich people could afford it. And they could cover the smell with the cologne. You could tell from that smell कि ये rich आदमी है. And the poor people did not afford the cologne. So after the French Revolution, when poor people could get elected, it was not just the rich landlords, but poor people also could get elected. So the parliament had two kinds of people. There were the elite, rich people, feudal kings, feudal lords, and there were poor people. But they did not want to sit together. So the folks from the masses, peasants who got elected would sit on one side of the aisle, and the elite would sit on the other side of the aisle, because they felt more comfortable with each other. Unka bo aa rahi hai, unka badbo nahi aa rahi, like that. And so, because they didn't know each other's name, the way to answer the question would be that the gentleman on the left said this and this is my answer, and they would say, but the gentleman on the right is telling wrong thing. They referred it to each other like that. And then the journalists also took this up. So this became the left wing and the right wing. So when I explained this to Shabana Azmi, and the audience understood this history, the people in the US. So फिर मैंने इसको हिंदी उनको बोला कि आप भी try, I have no problem of left wing or right wing because I take a bath. So I don't have this worry. And the audience had a good laugh. Then I looked at Shabana ji and Hindi में कहा कि आप भी try करके देखिए. And this fellow who was carrying the conference never forgave me. He never called me back because he said कि ये क्या कह दिया. I said ये actor है, इनको तो सब समझ आते. They are used to all this role. वो भी role play कर रहे हैं, हम भी role play कर रहे हैं. And this fellow who organized this conference, his name is Rajnikant, not the movie star. He is a Harvard economist. He's a adjunct professor of economics in Harvard, and he was living in Salt Lake City. He organized this. So I had my fun with Shabana Azmi, and then she never wanted everywhere. Now she's very kind of, humko unblock kara diya and all that stuff, But this is the tragedy of using categories like left wing and right wing. You should fly on both wings. You should say, what nonsense, left wing, right wing. I mean, this is not applicable to India because, you could have a economic theory which is popular or elitist, and you could have a religious idea which is different. You could have a race idea, ethnic idea, cultural idea, caste idea which is different. You could have many combinations. You could be supposedly left wing on one issue, right wing on another issue. Why not? I think you guys should defy and revolt and say, I do not want to be classified in a box because I want the freedom to think. I want to solve my problems with my own original ideas, and I don't want to be an instrument of political party. Why do I have to work for a party and be my side ka hu? I got my own life, and I'll create my own. So the people here are bright enough, and they just need encouragement to think independently. And I feel that the institutions you need to create, because the word institution is on the topic, the institutions you need to create need not be this left-wing, right-wing institution, but you need to create innovative institution, creative thinking institutions. What is the future? You know, and if it is not going to happen in places like this, it is not going to happen. Thank you very much for coming and listening. Namaste. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here and also hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified. To donate, please click this button.